My name is Christopher Herringa. I am the program manager here at Abode for our heat pump programs. I'd like to give you some information about Abode as we begin. So we are a small local business based out of Concord, Mass. We run 11 decarbonization related programs to increase heat pump adoption. And since launching this program last year, we've connected with well over 1,100 households to help them learn more about heat pumps. And we've conducted technical reviews on nearly $7 million in projects. We don't sell heat pumps, although we used to be contractors ourselves. We are a third-party objective team that provides advice to customers, contractors, and utilities around clean heating and cooling tech solutions. We also oversee a large portion of the Mass Save program on behalf of National Grid, specifically residential customers that use the home performance contractors to access no-cost Mass Save energy assessments and incentivize weatherization benefits. And in Connecticut and New Jersey, we support contractors offering virtual assessments as a way to help residents access the benefits of energy efficiency programs in a safe way. So here are many of our clients, and as you can see, we're working with many municipal light plants to support the adoption of clean heating and cooling technologies. Our background as contractors, program administrators, utility consultants, and lead vendors gives us a unique perspective on the goals of each of these different stakeholder groups. And we're also customers in these programs, so being able to evaluate every situation with each of these lenses enables us to support folks throughout their projects. This photo here is of our VP of Operations doing a deep energy retrofit on his own home a few years back. One of the biggest ways residents can get help is through the no-cost conversations provided by CMLP through those heat pump coaches. So during these consultations, coaches work to understand your goals, your motivations, and your home needs so they can help you make an informed decision with confidence. Heat pumps can work in all kinds of homes and structures, from single family to multifamily. So with heat pumps providing a huge variety of solutions for all kinds of spaces, the coaches can really help homeowners meet their heating and cooling goals, whatever those may be. And through these consultations, we're happy to help you cover really whatever your needs are. So whether that's general conversation about what heat pumps are or how they work, or if you need some support evaluating multiple bids you're looking at, we're here to help. At the end of the day, we want you to be prepared to move forward with the heat pumps with a heat pump contractor of your choosing, if it makes sense. The upfront advice we can provide is intended to be a starting point for most folks, and your contractor who is in your home taking real measurements, doing load calculations, and assessing the site conditions should be best situated to properly size and design a system that meets your needs. Whenever you have questions though, we're always here to help. So now let's take a look at heat pumps in a bit of detail, starting with how do they work? A heat pump is a versatile, efficient cooling and heating system that operates using electricity. Heat pumps do not burn any fuel. They move heat from one place to another. So to provide heat, a heat pump works by extracting heat from the air outside of your home and transferring it to refrigerant. And it can do that even when it's really cold outside. The refrigerant is then compressed, which increases the temperature significantly. That hot refrigerant is then moved to the indoor unit of the heat pump, which then passes air over the hot refrigerant and transfers it to the indoor air. When in cooling mode, a heat pump and an air conditioner are functionally identical, absorbing heat from the indoor air and releasing it through the outdoor unit. And when in cooling mode, the refrigerant moving to the indoor unit of the heat pump is very cold, transferring cool air to the space. And in our next couple of slides, we'll take a look at some context in the marketplace as seen from our programs. So this chart shows a breakdown of the yearbook of homes who have adopted heat pumps in our program. So for example, of the homes that have installed heat pumps, 25% were built between 1941 and 60. And about the same percentage of heat pump adopters had homes built between 1961 and 1980. So homes of all ages and sizes are installing air source heat pumps. And 71% of homeowners purchase heat pumps to reduce or stop using their fossil fuel system. Here we can see how much of the home heat pump adopters are typically conditioning with heat pumps. This doesn't mean that they have removed their old heating systems, but that the heat pumps they installed service or condition that percentage of their home square footage. So for example, 27% of homeowners are choosing to condition 100% of their house with heat pumps. And 58% of homeowners keep their existing system only as a backup to the heat pumps if needed. Let's take a look at operating costs of heat pumps in CMLP's service area. This chart uses CMLP's residential cost of electricity per kilowatt hour to represent the operating cost of an air source heat pump during the heating season. It uses CMLP's tiered rates per kilowatt hour usage to determine cost for residential customers. Heat pumps are 2 to 4 times as efficient as a gas furnace, even in the coldest climates. This technology has come a long way from traditional electric heating and offers efficiency that fossil fuels cannot match. Air source heat pumps deliver heat at progressively lower costs the warmer the outdoor temperature. As you can see in the chart, we spend about 80% of our heating season between 32 degrees and above, and only 20% below freezing. The overall average of the season is represented by the green bar with the arrow. The bars following it to the right show the cost depending on the outdoor temperature. And as you can see, it's highly cost competitive against all other fuel types. While some customers opt to keep their existing system for days when it's extremely cold, many customers or households will still use heat pumps year round and are still very comfortable. And noting the value of cooling as well, air source heat pumps are extremely efficient at providing cooling in the summertime. So heat pumps can be twice as efficient as window ACs, and many many models offer improved efficiency over central air as well. So upgrading from an old window or a central AC could result in a 50% to 100% increase in efficiency sometimes. A few key points to remember here. So first, air source heat pump operating cost is cheaper than oil, propane, wood pellets, electric resistance, and depending on how efficient your natural gas system is, seasonal operating costs can be similar. So for example, if you have an old natural gas steam boiler with big old radiators, it may be more costly than heat pumps to run. If you have a new gas condensing boiler with forced hot water, it may be more representative of the chart above. And second, the cost of electricity is steadier and more predictable compared to fossil fuels over time. This chart examines how many tons of CO2 emissions heat pumps versus traditional heating systems create over the course of 20 years, or more or less the lifetime of the product. Including emissions from the fuel, heat pumps have the lowest emissions. However, heat pump operating emissions are indirect, you could say. Air source heat pumps have no direct emissions from the operation of the unit itself, whereas fossil fuel systems burn fuel at the unit and have direct emissions from operation. This chart uses New England's electricity generation mix to calculate emissions for heat pumps. The cleaner the electricity is produced, the cleaner air source heat pumps will become. And if you're purchasing solely renewable energy, or if you have enough solar at your house, your heat pump operating emissions should be zero. CMLP's electricity generation mix is even cleaner than the representation above, so operating a heat pump in CMLP service area will have even lower emissions. Plus, another nice thing about being a customer of a Muni Light plant like CMLP is they have the opportunity to be more progressive and expedite the adoption of cleaner energy versus larger entities. So a few key points here. Energy production is getting cleaner every year, which means heat pumps' carbon emissions are reduced year after year as well, and heat pumps over the lifetime of operation have the lowest emissions. We're seeing a real diversification in the kinds of configurations of air source heat pumps. So we'll go through a little bit of that. Air-to-air heat pumps, or heat pumps that use air outside to heat or cool the air inside, are the biggest share of the market today. This has been driven by the growth of ductless air source heat pump systems, or ductless mini splits. That's probably what most people are familiar with and have seen them in homes, shops, or restaurants in the area. But that is just one of the configurations that you can use in the air-to-air category. You can use more traditionally centrally ducted systems. You can use one-to-one systems that are just one indoor unit with one outdoor unit, like a ductless mini split, for instance. There are even multi-zone systems now that you can match one outdoor unit with multiple indoor systems. And there's everything in between in terms of combining the different indoor units, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So a few more reasons why air-to-air is the leader. So the install for ductless units is quick and relatively straightforward. They're versatile and compatible enough to work in most homes to offset or provide all of your heating or cooling needs. And they're the lowest cost to install compared to some of the other types of heat pumps. Another opportunity is air to water. So using the same technology, but transferring that heat throughout the home with water, with hydronic systems that use baseboards, radiators, or radiant floor heating. There's a lot of really cool opportunities out there with new construction, but some challenges on the retrofit side with retrofitting existing hydronic systems. The hot water generated by air-to-water heat pumps is not as hot as the water generated by traditional boiler systems. The lower temperature water from air-to-water heat pumps requires a different type of hot water baseboard or radiator to keep the house warm enough when it is cold outside. So it's not always a good fit when trying to replace a boiler, and you can still consider an air-to-air heat pump as an alternative. As this technology develops in the years ahead, we will likely see this becoming more of a possibility. There are other types of heat pumps more on the water side, such as geothermal or ground source heat pumps. Similarly, you're harvesting that energy from the ground or sometimes from water, and you can distribute that into your home in multiple ways, whether you're doing it through air handlers or through hydronic systems. So there are a lot of ways you can mix and match this technology depending on your needs and preferences. But today we're focused on air-to-air systems. So now let's take some time to look at the types of indoor units you can use with air source heat pumps. Ductless units are versatile enough that you can size them to heat and cool larger open areas or even small bedrooms or offices. There's a lot of form factors when it comes to the ductless systems, starting with the wall hung unit on the left that most of us are familiar with. This can easily be hung on exterior walls and sometimes interior walls depending on the situation. You can get a floor mount unit that looks a little bit more like a floor radiator, or maybe just at least in where it would sit. These are becoming increasingly popular and are a great alternative to the wall hung units. Then there are the ceiling cassettes, which can be mounted into your ceiling. The bottom picture in the ceiling cassettes category is a bit of a newer product that does a better job of fitting between the joists in the ceiling, which is previously kind of an issue in terms of fitting some of those ceiling cassettes in. Again, there are new technologies coming out all the time to make installing this technology very practical. We're also seeing more and more ducted systems, so mini ducts and compact ducts. Got a lot of different names, but essentially the mini and compact ducted units can be set up with some amount of short-run, slim ductwork that allows you to use one unit and impact a few different smaller rooms. These can be really handy to use in parts of the home where the bedrooms and bath and hallway are located, so that each room doesn't require a ductless unit. These units are growing in popularity, but the industry is still maybe a little bit more comfortable with centrally ducted units. But if either of those are a good fit for you, we're here to help you find the right contractor. And so these units range from the low static product on the left that can probably only serve 1 or 2 rooms to a medium static product in the middle that can maybe serve a whole floor if it's not too big, or maybe 3 to 4 rooms. And then finally on the right, a more traditional high static centrally ducted product that could serve a whole house if it's not too big, or maybe a larger single floor of a house. So you can see here there's a lot of variety on the design side that you can leverage to find a solution that makes sense for your home both functionally and aesthetically. So you can mix and match what you have in your house, and a design that's definitely a best practice design growing in popularity is to use a compact ducted unit for the bedrooms, bath, maybe office area, hallway part of a house, and then ductless units to service the more open living area of the home. It's important to articulate your goals and motivations to a contractor well, so that in turn you can get a quote for a system design that meets your needs. So is your goal to save some money, increase your comfort, reduce your carbon footprint by reducing fossil fuel usage? How much of the home are you trying to heat? And do you plan to keep your existing system? And if so, how often do you still want to use it? If you plan to heat and cool a substantial portion of your home with air source heat pumps, it's important to ask your contractor if they will run heat load calculations rather than use rule of thumb. Sizing heat pumps correctly from heat load calculations reduces the risk of performance, efficiency, and comfort issues. And if you'll keep your existing heating system running in tandem with an air source heat pump, it's important to consider how the existing heating zone or zones will interact with the area that the heat pump will condition. There are a number of good strategies to address this, including integrated controls. So integrated controls are thermostat systems that can talk to your heat pump and your existing heating system. If integrated controls won't work for your specific scenario, there are other ways to stage the existing system and the heat pump so they work together instead of compete with one another. As we've learned a little bit so far, there are many ways to design these systems to meet your needs. So you can leverage the different types of indoor units to match the needs of the space you want to condition. So open floor plans work great with ductless units, and 1 or 2 heads can condition a large area. Compact ducted units can serve areas with isolated rooms. And small single zone units are great supplemental heating and cooling additions to hot or cold areas of a house. Or they can be used to provide all the heating and air conditioning to a room or a new addition. And you can connect multiple indoor units to one large outdoor condenser, or break it up into multiple smaller outdoor condensers to improve control and efficiency. So as I hinted there are some pros and cons of single zone versus multi-zone. So single zone or one-to-one units are incredibly efficient at both heating and cooling. The outdoor condenser can connect to a ductless unit as shown, or a ducted unit. Depending on the size of the outdoor condenser and the type of indoor unit, you can condition a very small room to a whole floor. And single zone units offer excellent control and comfort. Multi-zone, or 1 to 3 as shown in the image above, can be also connected to ductless, ducted, or a combination of indoor unit types. So providing excellent efficiency when heating or cooling, these units can handle multiple rooms, floors, or the whole house, depending on how they are configured. So while one multi-zone could be configured to have enough indoor units to provide a solution to the whole home, manufacturers encourage best practice designs that break up their responsibility to multiple outdoor condensers rather than one. This can increase efficiency, control, comfort, reduce the risk of any performance issues, and add some redundancy if one of the systems were to go down. In the next few slides, we'll take a look at a few scenarios to illustrate best practice designs that can be applied to most homes in our area. So our example is using a small 2-bed, 1-bath house that's maybe 1,300 square feet and has completed all the weatherization recommendations from their energy assessment. So for our first example, trying to condition too much space. This is a scenario of someone putting in a single zone unit for the entire house. 1-to-1 or single zone units have the highest efficiencies in the ductless category, and these homeowners will get to enjoy that low operating cost. The unit is going to run really hard and try to keep up, but you're going to get a temperature difference still between the living room area and those bedrooms. So in this house, from where the heat pump is in the far left of the dining area, it could be 35 feet or so to those bedrooms. And in the dead of winter, they may have their heat pump cranked up really high to try to provide enough heat throughout the entire house. They're still going to have 4 to 5 degree temperature difference between those spaces 35 feet away. Just can't provide enough heat for the whole home and distribute it evenly. So a similar effect could be felt in the height of summer, where the far bedrooms may get a bit warmer than is comfortable, especially if the sun is pouring in those windows. So let's take a look at the opposite scenario. So maybe these homeowners gravitated towards something where they have heat pumps or want to have heat pumps and control in every single room. They have ductless units in each bedroom and 2 in the living area to ensure nothing is missed. Unfortunately, it's really more than they need. If you were to take a small home like this and put 4 indoor ductless units on a large outdoor multi-zone condenser that, say, does 50,000 BTU of heat at 5 degrees, might be double the amount of heat that they need. So the outdoor condenser is designed for a much bigger house with more heating demands, and it can't operate efficiently in this home. So too much capacity in too little space. This will often happen when creating a design based around how many zones or ductless units you want, especially when it comes to adding one for each bedroom. So how do we make sure the bedrooms are comfortable and we don't have more capacity than we should? Well, let's take a look at an option. As mentioned before, when we looked at the first scenario of trying to condition too much space, I stated these homeowners had completed all the weatherization recommendations they received from their energy assessment. So that typically includes things like insulation, tightening the house up, and sometimes new windows. All of those things are important to consider when you're thinking about adopting heat pumps. And I preface this scenario with a quick note on weatherization because best practice design for heat pumps and weatherization go hand in hand. With that in mind, let's take a look at what this design looks like. You can see here that they placed a wall unit in the living room and a small ducted unit that serves both the bedrooms. Those 2 indoor units could be connected to 2 single zone systems, 1 outdoor unit for each the ductless unit and the ducted unit. That design would give them a higher level of efficiency and some redundancy. Instead, you could put it on a small multi-zone unit outside if you have limited space for condensers. But please bear in mind, if considering a multi-zone condenser for this scenario, there are limits to how far away the outdoor condenser can be from the indoor units. The living room unit is sized to meet the heating and cooling needs of the open living area of the house. And the ducted unit is designed to treat the bedrooms. And sometimes you can also tie in the bathroom or an office or that hallway to the ducted unit like you have here as well. So between those 2 indoor units, they meet the needs of the house just right, and nothing's oversized, and everything should operate efficiently and keeping you nice and comfortable. So as we've learned, air source heat pumps can come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Depending on your home's needs, the design that is appropriate for your home, and your goals as the end user, the cost can vary greatly. So for small ductless systems that may serve a small to medium-sized room, you may see a cost in the realm of $4,000 to $6,000. For systems that are designed to service the entirety of a large home and provide all of your heating and cooling needs, and may include installing ductwork, costs they could exceed 30,000. So it's also important to remember that your operating costs will vary depending on system design and the outdoor temperature, as we discussed in a previous slide. So if you're looking to displace an oil or propane system, for instance, you're likely going to save a lot of money. If you're looking to displace a moderately to high efficient natural gas system, your operational cost savings during the heating season could be minimal or similar, or you can save a little bit. And your carbon savings, though, all the time are always going to be significant. So heat pumps are different than traditional systems like boilers or furnaces, and there are a few things you may need to unlearn about how to operate them effectively and get the most out of your investment. So don't worry about the temperature setting. A heat pump measures ambient room temperature differently than your old heating system. So your ductless heat pump, set it to a comfortable temperature and then adjust the setting up or down over the course of a few days until you reach a temperature number that feels right to you. In the area that a heat pump is also servicing, you could try to turn your old thermostat maybe 10 degrees lower than you used to. So if you used to set it to 68, try 58. This allows your old system to become the backup heat source. If the area gets chilly during a severe cold snap, or if you know some really cold weather is coming and you want to make sure that everything's running safely, don't be afraid to turn up that old system temporarily. So you can maximize the use of your heat pump and you can see how much it can do. So try to keep the doors open to rooms with the ductless unit, allowing the heat pump heat to circulate as much as possible. So that solution can work really well when you have like an existing zone from your old heating system that kind of matches up well with the area the heat pump services. So don't fuss with it every day. You may have lowered the temperature on your old heating system when you went to work or at night. A heat pump is different. It reaches peak efficiency by maintaining a set temperature. So find the right setting, then leave it alone and let it work. There's an exception though. So for absences of over 24 hours, you can go ahead and turn it down. Don't go easy on your heat pump. The best way to benefit from a heat pump's superior efficiency is to use it for as much heating as it can handle. Experiment by opening a few doors to expand the zone. You can turn up the fan. You might be surprised by how much space it can actually heat. And don't use auto mode. So it's natural to think that auto mode would be more efficient setting, but if you use it, your unit does run the risk of toggling unnecessarily between heating and cooling. Your heat pump will run most efficiently when set to heat in winter and cool in summer. But please note that the auto fan function is a separate setting and totally fine to use. All right, don't use the lowest fan speed. That's kind of strange, but true. A heat pump works most efficiently when set to a higher fan speed. Of course, high fan speeds can produce more ambient noise and air movement. So use the highest speed you're comfortable with, then dial in your preferred temperature setting and remembering number 1 there. So don't forget to keep up on maintenance. This is true for almost any heating system, but that doesn't make it any less important. It's generally quick and easy to do, and you should consult your heat pump's user manual for details on cleaning and replacing cartridges. You will generally need to clean the indoor unit filter every 2 to 6 weeks, depending on use. And you want to keep the outdoor unit compressor free of debris or snow and ice. And hire a qualified professional to service your heat pump every year or 2. And you just want to see your heat pump's manufacturer guidelines for that maintenance interval. Don't worry about an ideal swap over point. So what is a swap over point? It's the exact temperature below which it costs less to run your backup system than your heat pump. But it's not that easy to figure out since it depends on your backup fuel, your heat pump model, electricity rates, and many other factors. Try to use your heat pump as much as possible. Unless your backup heating fuel is a very affordable one like natural gas and you have a very efficient system, there usually aren't enough super cold hours in the year for your heat pump in cold weather to make a swap over point worth worrying too much about. So these tips we just covered help increase efficiency and operating costs. It's important to understand how your new heat pumps work and how to operate efficiently to get the most savings. So again, the best way to get help is through the no-cost conversations provided by CMLP through the heat pump coaches. We want you to understand your goals, your motivations, and help you get the information that you need and the resources you need as well to make a decision that's right for you and your family. So again, we're happy to cover whatever your needs are, whether that's general conversation or maybe something more in depth, or maybe looking over some bids you're looking at. At the end of the day, we want you to be prepared to move forward with heat pumps with a contractor of your choosing if it makes sense. CMLP does require scheduling an energy assessment to receive a rebate. So if you have natural gas heating, you'll schedule with Mass Save. And if you have another fuel type for heating, you will schedule with Energy New England. Energy assessments are an important part of considering the house as a system. These assessments provide you with the opportunity to learn more about the home and the opportunities to increase efficiency and comfort, such as insulation or reducing air infiltration by tightening the house up. Weatherization of your home is an important part of adopting heat pumps. As part of this program, Abode does maintain a participating contractor list. There are a lot of contractors in the community, and despite our best efforts, they may not be on this list. We're here to engage with them and explain how to file for the rebates. We're not directly endorsing any particular contractor, but contractors on this list have passed an application process. We check to make sure they've attended relevant manufacturer training for the products they've installed, checked references on their work, and have committed to provide high quality customer service to operate in the program. They're also familiar with the pre-approval and install QA steps of the rebate process. Just so you know, you are not required to use contractors on the participating contractor list. As long as the pre-approval and install QA steps are followed by your contractor, you can still receive a rebate. Remember, the contractors on our list are already familiar with that process. In order to receive a rebate, your contractor must submit a pre-approval form prior to installation and an install quality assurance form after install is complete. The pre-approval form is where the contractor submits information about the home and system plan to be installed. So when we receive the pre-approval form from the contractor, we'll consider, is the equipment reasonably sized to the space being conditioned, the type of floor plan, and the building envelope? Is the equipment selected appropriate for the type of floor plan and intended use? And are we optimizing runtime and use of the heat pump? So if all those make sense, we would approve the project. The install QA is used to ensure systems meet best practice guidelines for cold climate air source heat pump install. So they provide some key photos of the installed equipment on site conditions. They respond to attestation questions regarding the steps of install. And at the end, after installation is complete, surveys are used to ensure participating contractors are continuing to provide great customer experiences. So we strongly encourage folks to complete those when they get the chance. And then at the very end, the customer fills out the online rebate application, or the contractor sometimes helps too. We're here to facilitate anything throughout this whole process, so you can always engage with us from beginning to end. So taking a quick look at the rebate amounts that CMLP offers, they have their standard rebate, but they also have income-based rebates below. So taking a look along the right here, they have single head systems. That's $500 per system. So think single zone system, like outside each condenser. And then they have central ducted or multi-head systems. That's $500 per ton, up to $2,000. And 1 ton is equivalent to 12,000 BTU. And they quantify that by how much capacity the system has at 5 degrees. That's the website to go and set yourself up with a consultation. We're running out of time. I don't know if we want to be able to try to take maybe one question here.